So we're having simple and multiple linear regression. In simple linear regression, it consists one response and one predictor variable. It models the relation between one response and one predictor variable. And usually that relation, model can be expressed in terms of a linear equation y is equal to mx plus c, where m is a slope and c is a y-intercept, and both are called as a regression coefficient. Both are called as a regression coefficient. And so our task is to draw so after projecting the data points into the graph, into the scatter plot, there our task is to draw the line y is equal to mx plus c. That is also called as a linear regression model. So as we have seen in yesterday's session, there are there are many lines pass can cover those data. So how to find the best line which fits the data? So that is from the method of least square. So that method identifies the best fitting line for the data. So the requirement is, the condition is that the error should be as minimum as possible. So what is the error? So here error can be expressed in terms of the difference between the distance between the line and the data point in the graph. Error is nothing but the distance between the line and the data point. So that should be as minimum as possible. So that is about simple linear regression. So it models the relation between the predictor and the response variable, where the model is given by y is equal to from mx plus c, and it can also be called as y is equal to w naught plus w1 x. Suppose this can be written as c plus mx. That means here the regression coefficients are also called as weights. Here the regression coefficients are also called as weights. So we usually refer these equation as y is equal to w naught plus w1 x. And we have certain formulas for the regression coefficients, and those formulas are given yesterday, and we have given an assignment also for the 3 teams, right? We will see in the next class about that assignment. So like this we are having. So this is about simple linear regression. So what is meant by multiple linear regression? The second is the second method under linear regression is multiple linear regression. Multiple linear regression. What is this multiple linear regression? So in simple linear regression, there exists only one predictor variable for a response variable. So here it includes more than one predictor variable. In multiple linear regression, it includes more than one predictor variable. So for a given y, we are having more than 1x. For a given y, we are having more than 1x. Then the linear equation can be extended. The same linear equation can be extended like this. W naught, W1x. This is up to now we know this. This is for one predictor variable. If at all we are having more than one predictor variable for a given response variable, suppose we are having here, suppose here we are having x comma y. So for a given x we are having certain y, whereas here we are having x1, x2, x3 and so on for a given y. This is the record. For a record is like this. The record is in this way in case of multiple linear regression. So then in such case, how to write a linear model? How to generate the linear model? In this way. W1 x1 plus W2 x2 plus so on. In this way, we can extend the linear model generated. We can extend the model, extend the line equation. So yesterday we have also seen whenever it is in case of simple linear regression, we can have a line there. Whereas in case of multiple linear regression, we can have a plane instead of the line. So that is about multiple linear regression. And coming to the non-linear regression, and the second method under regression is the non-linear regression. So this is all about linear regression. So coming to the non-linear regression. So we have discussed two methods broadly under prediction or regression. First one is linear regression and the other is non-linear regression. So what is this non-linear regression? By the name itself, can anyone I can have any guess from any other? Non-linear regression. What is that non-linear regression? Can I have any guess? So it is quite opposite to the linear regression. So in linear regression, anybody want to express can express. So in linear regression, any response?
Yes, ma'am. Linear regression ante maybe adi line shape lo ostundemo ma'am. Non-linear ante maybe curve.
Yes. So actually that is also a difference, but we couldn't say like that because some curve-shaped models can also be comes under linear regression. Actually, that is also a difference, but we couldn't differentiate linear and non-linear based on that point only. So we can say that in linear regression, we are assuming that the data is linear. That means there exists some linear relationship between the data. That means if at all the x increases, y also increases. That means x decreases, y also decreases. Like that, we assume that there exists a linear relationship between the elements. Whereas in non-linear regression, because in real world data generally in reality data shouldn't be linear actually. There may exist uh, there may not be exist always linear relationship among the data elements in the real world data. So in the yesterday example, you have seen that as the year increases, the rate of prices of oranges are also increases. That's a linear relationship. But whereas if you find the Sensex data, it does not depends on the year. If you go for the Sensex data, as the year increases, the Sensex may increase or decreases. That's complete and non-linear data. So if at all such data is there, we have to model that data also for making the future prediction. So our task is to make the future prediction to identify particular number based on the existing values. So our main task is to go for the future prediction. So irrespective of that, irrespective of the linearity of the data, if at all the data is not linear also, in such case also, we should be in a position to predict the required value. So in such case, we need to go for the non-linear regression. So in non-linear regression, it can able to model the data, even though if it is, even though the data may consisting of some non-linearity. So in such case, so how to find out whether the data is linear or non-linear means it's very simple. If so, if our data fits with the line y is equal to mx plus c, if our data fits with this line y is equal to mx plus c, we can conclude that that is a linear data. If at all we can't able to get the model, get this particular model y is equal to mx plus c, or we can also call as y is equal to w naught plus wx, also, or we can also call as y is equal to b plus some wx, or like we have seen in the yesterday's class. The basic pattern is y is equal to slope x plus coefficient. X indicates the predictor variable. So if at all we can model the data with the linear equation, with this particular linear equation, we can tell that the data is linear and we can construct a linear model. Otherwise, if our data is not like that, we can't, we can easily say that that is a non-linear data and we can go for the non-linear model to construct that. So we can have different nonlinear equations we're having. All those are only represented with the coefficients only. So we are having sum of squares in nonlinear regression model, just like an error in the linear regression. So we need to draw the model. We need to select the model which results in the good value for the sum of squares. Sum of squares should be as minimum as possible. What is the sum of squares? What is the error in the linear regression? In linear regression, error indicates the difference between the data point and the line we have drawn, the regression line. Similarly, here also, sum of squares is the difference between the data point and the nonlinear regression model line. So for the nonlinear regression also, we can get the plane. We can get some shape. Either it may be the parabola, or it may be the curve, or it may be anything. It may be some S-shaped curve or anything. So difference between that curve and the actual data point gives the sum of squares, and this should be as minimum as possible. And we need to select the model which lessens the sum of squares errors. So here regression is nonlinear when the function is a nonlinear in terms of coefficients. And also we can say that a regression model is nonlinear whenever the function is a whenever the function is a nonlinear in terms of coefficients. So if the function is a nonlinear in terms of coefficients in the sense x, here in this example xc, whereas in the previous example coefficients in the sense here w0, w1, here w0, w1, w2, etc., etc. All these are called as a coefficients. So based on the coefficients only, we can say that if at all a particular function consisting of some nonlinear coefficients, we can say that that is a nonlinear regression, and this can be clear when we going for an example. Let's share. Let me share the PPT so that you can get more from this. You can share that. Is the screen is visible?
Yes, but
Okay. So as we have seen yesterday, we have the simple linear regression and multiple linear regression, and here are the model equations. And based on the method of least squares, we can select the best fitting line, which minimizes the error, which is nothing but distance between the point and the line. So here we can have some equations for the regression coefficients for the simple linear regression, and based on that we can able to calculate the predicted value. We can able to calculate the future value for a given x. In this case, we can able to calculate the salary for a given x value of 7 years. So coming to the multiple linear regression, here instead of one predictor variable, we can have multiple predictor variables like this. Here we have x1, x2, x3, so on down. So like this, we can extend the formula. We can extend the formula, or we can also call model, whatever. Depends upon the number of predictor variables, we can extend the model and we can get the predicted value. So like this, we can have n number of coefficients for a multiple linear regression model. So coming to the nonlinear regression, here since the real world data is somewhat nonlinear, we need to go for this nonlinear regression. So it is a method to model a nonlinear relationship between the dependent and independent. Here, dependent in the sense response variable is referred as dependent variable, whereas the predictor variable is referred as independent variable. So here, just like we are having method of least squares in case of linear regression, here we are having method of successive approximation in case of nonlinear regression. So here the goal of the model is to make the sum of squares as small as possible. So as I told just now, the sum of squares is a measure that tracks how far the y observations ran the nonlinear function that is used to predict y. So a best example of the nonlinear regression is it can be used to predict the population growth over time. If you see the population, we can't say that as the year increases, population also compulsory increases. We can't say that. We can't say that exactly because due to COVID in 2019, maybe our population graph may slightly slows down. We don't know that, right? So there exists some nonlinear relation between the population at the time. So in such case, that can be modeled with a nonlinear regression model, nonlinear regression. So here, if you observe, here is a graph. Some it explains about relationship between the GDP and the time of the country. So what is the shape of the graph actually? These red dots indicates the data. So they are in a some curve shaped data. So we need to draw a straight line here. So in this case, we can say that this is a nonlinear relationship. Of course, it's also based on the model whether we can generate the y is equal to mx plus c model or not. After that, we can able to classify the data based on the graph also. But before that, we need to check the model whether we can able to generate that function or not. Function in the sense y is equal to mx plus c. So here, like this, they're having different many nonlinear regression models they're having, like quadratic regression, cubic regression, polynomial regression. As you observe in the graph, we can have different shapes. Whereas in linear regression, we usually find the straight line. Of course, sometimes we can have the curves, but usually we can find the straight lines. Whereas in case of nonlinear regression, we can get different shaped curves. Why? Because our data is not linear actually here. So here, as we said, the nonlinearity exists especially with the coefficients of the regression. So regression these are some examples of the nonlinear functions. Whereas here, if you observe the first point, if your model uses an equation in the form of y is equal to some a0 plus b1 x1, or we can also treat it as y is equal to mx plus b. So regression coefficients may be vary. The form is same, y is equal to mx plus c form. Some author says that it is y is equal to a0 plus b1x. Some other author says that this is y is equal to w0 plus w1x. However, irrespective of the author, irrespective of the way of representation, the standard form is y is equal to mx plus c. If at all the model is represented with that equation, we can say that that is a linear model. Otherwise, it is a non-linear model. So these are all examples of the non-linear functions. So especially regression is non-linear when the function is a non-linear in the coefficients itself. In terms of the coefficients, it should be a non-linear. So up to here, we are having prediction methods. So we're having 3 classification methods in this unit: Bayesian and rule-based classification. And similarly, we're having 2 regression methods or prediction methods: linear regression and non-linear regression. And now with this, we have finished the classifiers and predictors. What is meant by classifier? What is meant by predictor? And what are the methods in that on how to perform the classification, how to predict the future value, etc., etc. And here now the next topic is the quality measures for the accuracy and the predictor. So within that, we are going to first discuss about the accuracy and error measures. What is meant by accuracy? What is meant by the error? We will see. Just wait. Are you able to get the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next we are going to see about, we're going to look into the accuracy and error measures of a classifier and the predictor. That means how after generating some labels, for example, consider the classifier. After generating some classification result, how can we say whether that result is good or not? In which way we can able to make sure that the quality of a classifier is good or bad, etc., etc. For this, we need to first have the good quality measure as the accuracy. So accuracy represents the percentage of tuples that are correctly classified by the classifier. So actually this measure appears frequently throughout this unit. So this is the basic measure for the quality check. So it indicates the percentage of tuples that are correctly classified by the classifier. So whereas error indicates quite opposite to the accuracy, percentage of tuples that are wrongly classified by the classifier. So how to calculate this percentage of tuples? How could we say which percentage of tuples are correctly or based on the test data? So since this concept we have already discussed in the initial stages of discussing about the classification. So based on out of all the tuples we are having, how many are correctly classified? So that will give the accuracy of the classifier. So 1 minus accuracy will give the error of the classifier. So coming to the term confusion matrix, this is a famous buzzword in particular classification that can be used to assess the original performance of the classifier. So as the name itself indicates, it's a matrix. It's a matrix representing the performance of the classifier. Here you can find the confusion matrix. So as you can see here, this is your confusion. Right. So this is your confusion matrix. This is okay. This is a 2 by 2 matrix whenever you have two labels. So I'm just showing an example of the confusion matrix whenever you have only two classes, because we have taken an example of Bayes computer is equal to yes and Bayes computer is equal to no. We have only dealing with the two classes with that example. So by considering that example, I'm showing a confusion matrix whenever we have only two labels. So this is a confusion matrix, 2 by 2. Ignore all the remaining things. This is an explanation of this only. So the main confusion matrix is here itself. This is a 2 by 2. So here, if you observe that these are nothing but the predicted values. Wait a second. So here these are nothing but the predicted values. These values are predicted values, whereas these values are actual values. And here we have total. Let me give an example and go back to this. This is just like a framework. Let me go to the example and come back to this framework so that you can get more from this. So here, if you consider it, here we have two classes. One is a spam. Other class is normal. Just like we have Bayes computer is equal to yes and no, where yes is a class, no is a class. Just like here also we are having two classes. Spam is a class here and normal is also a class here. So we call the spam as the positive class. We call this here we see out of two classes, one class we use it to call one class as positive class and one class as a negative class. Okay, which class can be referred as positive is nothing but that is depends upon the interest of the classification. Interest in the sense to find what, for example, if you consider the previous example, like we need to find out whether the person buys a computer or not. There our interest is on S class. Why? Because we actually want all the customers who is going to buy the computer. Of course, there is a no class, but there our interest is S class. Similarly, here also the aim is to find out the mails which are spams. We need to find the spam mails. Out of all the mails, we need to find out the spams, and I just want to delete all the spam mails. I don't bother about the normal mails. So here my interest is to identify the spam mails, for example. So I can assume that the spam class is a positive class and normal class is a negative class. I try to understand the terms positive and negative here. Here the spam class is a positive class and normal class is a negative class. That is my assumption only, because I am interested in identifying the spam mails instead of normal mails. I just want to classify all the spam mails because I want to delete that. That is my aim. But that is my temporary aim, for example. So like that depends on the interest of classification. We can fix out of two classes, we can fix one class as a positive class and one class as a negative class. Then what is this predicted version? What is this actual version? Let me explain that. So I'm telling that previously in previous slide, I'm telling that this is so this is all about predicted classes, and this is all about actual classes. What is this predicted version and what is this actual version? For example, here if you observe, here is 320 I'm mentioning. What is the value here? 320. What is meant by 320 here means actually there are 320 spam mails. Okay, here actually there are 320 spam mails and they are all predicted as spam mails. Did you get my point or not? Otherwise, just add these four. Add these four values, 320 plus 43 plus 20 plus 538. What is the value? Yes.
EPT లీనియర్ రిగ్రెషన్ ప్రిడిక్షన్ చూపిస్తుంది మ్యామ్. నెక్స్ట్ స్లైడ్ చూపించట్లా మీరు రాసి.
లీనియర్ రిగ్రెషన్ చూపిస్తుందా?
ఎస్ మ్యామ్.
దాని నుంచి మరి ఏం వేసినారు అందరూ?
చెప్తాం అనుకున్నాను మ్యామ్, అంటే నాకే ప్రాబ్లం వస్తుందేమో అని ఒకసారి కనుక్కొని చెప్పు.
ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు మీకు ఏం కనిపిస్తుంది?
యాక్చువల్ క్లాస్ పాజిటివ్ స్పామ్ అదే మ్యామ్, ఇప్పుడు మీరు చెప్పేదే కనిపిస్తుంది మ్యామ్ 320.
ఓకే, అలా అని ఉంటే నాకు ఇమీడియట్ గా చెప్పేయండి, వేరే వాళ్ళతో కన్ఫర్మ్ చేసుకోకపోయిన పర్లేదు.
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
మీరు ఇందాక ఎక్కడ కనిపించింది? లీనియర్ రిగ్రెషన్ దగ్గర కనిపించిందా?
Yes ma'am.
Previously you have seen this slide, right?
Yes ma'am.
So now I need to explain all these things, or I can directly go to the accuracy. I can directly. Can I start from this?
Yes ma'am.
So if you identify any problem, you can just rise immediately. Why? Because no need, because the time is too short for an hour, right? Because of net connectivity or any other issues, we may lose some minutes. So you can directly rise. If at all it is only a problem for you, it can be rectified openly. No need to bother about that. So here, what I am saying is, we are having basically two methods for assessing the basic methods. Not we are having few other also. So to assess the quality of the classifier, we are having accuracy and error measures. So accuracy is the percentage of tuples that are correctly classified by the classifier, whereas error is quite opposite to that, which can be obtained as 1 minus accuracy. So here we are in classification, here we are having a confusion matrix, which is a matrix, which is actually a matrix that itself describes the performance of the classifier in all aspects. So So if at all you want to assess the classifier performance, first you need to have a confusion matrix. So before explaining the structure, can everybody see this confusion matrix? Can everybody see this matrix?
Yes.
Yes, right? Can everybody?
Slide ఉంది ma'am.
Yes, accuracy and error measures. This is the confusion matrix. Let me just mark on it. This is the confusion matrix. Okay. Yes. This is the structure of the confusion matrix, and let me explain it by considering an example, and let me come back here. So this is an example actually. Previously, this is the structure of the confusion matrix, and this is the example of the confusion matrix. So here, as I said earlier, here we have considered the data of the emails, and our aim is to classify or to identify all the spam emails. Okay, our aim is to identify all the spam emails, and we have did some classification, and we have projected the result of the classification with the help of the confusion matrix, for example. So let me enter into the before entering into the confusion matrix. First, we need to know how many total data elements are there in the data set. For that, you need to add all these values. Just add all these values and tell me the total figure. Anybody is doing that? Add all these values. I think you can see this slide.
918 ma'am.
918, right? Right?
Yes ma'am. Total ma'am, అన్ని value.
Yes, total 320 plus 43 plus 20 plus 538. So here from the confusion matrix, what we have done is we have projected the result of the classification into the confusion matrix. And to explain, to know more details about this, first we need to know that each of the value, if you add each of the value, that figure should be equal to the total number of the data elements. So now from this confusion matrix, I can say that I'm having a email data with how many mails I'm having? 918 mails I'm having. Okay, I'm having a total of 918 emails. So my task is, out of 918, I need to classify how many are spam, how many are normal. That I need to classify. So for that, I have selected some classification algorithm. Let's say it's a decision tree, for example. It classifies 918 elements into what? Into spam and normal ones. Okay. So I can assume that this spam class, ignore this line. Ignore this line. This spam class is a positive class. This normal class is represented as a negative class. So there are two terms associated with the confusion matrix, positive and negative. So whatever the class I'm interested in, that can be assumed as a positive class. Here I'm interested in identifying the spam, all spam emails. So I can assume that all spam labels are treated as positive classes, whereas all normal labels are treated as negative classes. Are you able to get the point?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. So here, let me explain each and every value here. So first I am having 320 here. So here, if you observe, you are having actual here. And here we are having keyword predicted. That means this is all. Yes, right. So here, if you get the first value, that is 320, it indicates that what is the indication of 320 in terms of if you consider the row wise, it says that it is a actual positive class. And if you observe the column, its column header, it indicates that this is a predicted positive class. That means here actual positive classes are 320. That means actually out of 318, we are having actually how many positive classes?
320.
So from the table, I can say that there are 320 positive classes. How many negative classes I have in the original data? How many negative classes I have from the table? So here you can find actual negatives. So wait, here actual positive 320 plus 43. 320 plus 43, how many? How much?
363, ma'am.
Okay, 320 plus 43, 363. So that is the total number of actual classes. Similarly, total number of actual negatives, how many? 20 plus 538. That is 558, right? So 558 is the actual negative classes. So here, 320 plus 43, 43, 50, 363. So out of 363, how many are predicted as positive? Here
320.
So what it means here? Out of 363, only 320 are predicted as positive by the classifier. Did you get the point?